Hello and welcome to the woods, and we're back at the Bushcraft shelter. I'm going to cook myself some breakfast, but boy, what a change in the atmosphere. It is down to kind of like the mid single figures in temperature. You can really feel it, and if you get a breeze it does shoot down your neck. It's relatively still, but I've brought my longbow. I'm going to set a target up. I'm going to do a bit of target practice, and we're going to discuss some bushcraft skills. And it's at the very beginning, or the early stages of bushcraft teaching and learning, so we'll get into that. But I want to actually get a breakfast on the go, and this is about enjoying the shelter now. I've gone past the build of building, and I've got somewhere I can use now and come to. We had a carnival with the kids. They had a party at a trampoline park, and we had to do some stick deliveries, and I picked up 2 free kayaks off a selling site. So it was a very busy day yesterday to cram it all in. We made it happen, hence there was no overnight wild camping or staying here. And I've got a funeral on Monday morning, so basically this is my little bit of time to myself before I go back home. So here we are, let's crack straight into it. Right then guys, around my bushcraft camp I've got loads of standing dead. Even though what's on the floor is wet, damp and rotten, you couldn't use it, the branches are still dry because they've not been on the floor. They haven't absorbed water, and with the airflow it keeps them dry. So this is good first stage ignition for my fire. You can just hear it. It's just snapping like twigs, and everything around me is damp in here. So yeah, I'm going to get a load of this ready for the fire. There are birch bark, you can use that. You would have seen all this on other bushcraft videos, but I'm quite fortunate. Even though I don't have birch trees to get my fire ignited, I have loads of this. It's just a case, don't be tempted to get anything on the floor or on a tree that's actually living, and get it from like a standing dead or something like that, or something that's already gone over, where the limbs and the twigs have been air dried and air exposed. Yeah, fantastic stuff this. Right, I'm going to show you 2 what I would call emergency measures to get a fire going on items that you may actually have or be using for a different purpose. This here is part of the lanyard of the hiking sticks I craft, and I've already stated in previous videos that at a push you can use it to prolong a flame to give you that first ignition. These measures I'm going to show you do give off toxic smoke. Be aware, so don't breathe it in. But at a pinch, if your back is against the wall, you can use small parts of these items to actually get the first stage of ignition, particularly if you're dealing with wetter firelighting conditions. So this is a man-made rope substance. It's really pliable and soft. Just fluff up the edges like this. So you got it like that. Use your lighter and it will take. There you go. And that will keep burning, and it get progressively, as it gets hotter, it will just keep burning and burning and burning. So that's a good ignition, because it will stay burning, and a slow burn, so that it gives the twigs or whatever you're trying to get on fire, it will give it a chance to get hot enough to ignite. There you go. Obviously, do not breathe in any of that smoke. It is toxic. Be warned. This is just an emergency measure I'm showing you here. And obviously, it will drip the components of that rope, which is like a plastic kind of material. So obviously if that lands on you, it will burn, so be aware of that. Also, this is part of an inner tube from a push bikes. Well, it's an inner, but part of an inner tube. I've got kids and I've had to replace the inner tube thousands of times. When you've repaired it to the point you can't repair it no more. This is fantastic to keep in your fire kit. It has quite a few uses, but the main one is it will catch and fire with a lighter, and it's probably best demonstrated. It goes up really fast and it is quite a vigorous burn. And there you go. It burns hot, fast and very vigorous. And you don't need much of it to get a fire going. Yet again, that is toxic smoke. Do not breathe it in. You know, health and safety and all that. That is very toxic. All I'm showing you this for is at a push, with those few items in a fire lighting kit, you have a non-natural but an emergency means to get a fire lit. I've also got what I call my fire bomb. Basically, it's a toilet roll. It's been stuffed with washing machine lint. When you take your clothes to the actual dryer and you start drying your clothes, you get like a lint substance. If you put a little bit of Vaseline on that, fold it over into a parcel like this, almost like a pasta parcel, and like this is another good source of ignition. There you go. And that will burn for a long time. I'm actually going to use this now to get a fire going. Right, let's load this fire up again, and then we can start cooking. What pieces have I got here? I cut them all too long. Nope, that might just go in. Yep, there you go. Right, let's get this frying pan on and start getting some things cooked. Grease that frying pan right up. Lovely, it's nearly ready to start cooking on now. Throw away cooking utensils from the woods. So while that's cooking, I'm just going to put another few shots down range. I need to practice. Right, we're going to have a look at that shot placement there. I'm beginning to feel a little fatigued. This bow is pulling over 50 pounds easy, even though it's several years old, and fully jacked up. I think it's something like 65. I keep saying that, but in any case, unless you work out, once you get to about 100 shots through a bow of this kind of power, it becomes a little bit of a, you fatigue easy and your shot placement and accuracy disappears. Obviously, if you work out and you've got good upper body strength, that will prolong the time you can shoot and the amount of shots you can do. So the more power you extract out of a bow, the more it fatigues you and the faster. So you're probably better off to have a bow at about this kind of power, because at least it allows you to improve on your accuracy, and I need to do that. Well, we've got a dead turkey, so we're going to eat tonight. That one there, I was probably going to say that I had more chance of shooting a seagull with it that high. But there we go. We've got dinner tonight. Right then, guys, a quick one about aiming. If I can get this to actually focus. Right then, there's the arrow, and it's knocked. I've got a string in the nock and it's holding firm. If I bring you up into position there, when I'm looking down, I'm not actually looking down the arrow. I'm looking down the top of my knuckle. So if I want to hit that tree over there, my knuckle sits on the tree. The reason for that is the bower's paradox, partly. And if I bring this round to where the string is along the center line of the bow, you can see the arrow has to fly off in a different direction than where it's actually the bowstring is drawing back to the center of the bow when it's released. So my knuckle allows that arrow to travel around the curve of the bow and then land on the target, or that's a theory anyway. So that's a little bit of an explanation on my aiming. So I'm not aiming the arrow there, because if I aimed like that, by the time the bow came into its central position, as you can already see, the arrow would be way off. So I've got to aim my knuckle to get the arrow on target. Right then guys, not only will you have to work out where, your bower's paradox, how that's going to affect you, where your point of aim is. It might not be a knuckle like mine because of everybody's eyes is different. It might be somewhere in relation to somewhere else on your hand or further back into the bow shaft. You may have to, experiment. That's all experimentation. But there's the other thing which you've got to get right. That is the anchor point. Now, the anchor point will be somewhere around your body or near you where you can draw back every time and it will be the same position. Because if you don't have the same position, it's pointless worrying about where you're aiming up there, because your anchor point could be up there, down there, forward, back, and it affects your point of aim and shot placement. So for me, it's about there. I know I've got to draw back and get back to about here, and I've got to be there every time. That's my anchor point. As long as I get my bowstring and hand release hand back here, I know that I've only got to worry about my aim point then. I mean, for other people it could be up, down, forward, back, could be the ear, could be further down there, it could be anywhere. And then you've also got instinctive shooting and aimed shooting. Aimed shooting, you use pretty much those methods I've just been talking about, but instinctive, you can literally bring it back and find your points, but you don't necessarily need to put all the effort into aiming, because your eyes, brain and body can actually make it all happen. It's called instinctive shooting. I've got a long way to go before I could even think about trying that method. I still have to use the aimed method, and those two methods are both genuine methods in archery. Yeah, like I said, it's all good fun and it's learning, and I enjoy it. It's a skill which I think has a place in bushcraft. Can the stick man fry an egg with a stick? Let's give it a go. Oh, halfway successful. I did break the yolk a little bit there. A one pan all day breakfast. Well then guys, I've just damped down the fire and I'm thinking about getting out of here. Just want to talk about those items I showed you to light fires. I'll just reiterate, they are toxic. They give off a very unpleasant smell, and you don't want to breathe in any of the gases and smoke because it's toxic, so that's not going to do you any good. So don't do it. The only thing that indicates is that there are items which can give you a flame if you're in a survival or a bushcraft situation where you need to get a fire going and it's extremely difficult conditions, like everything is really damp. Those forms of ignition will hold long enough to, with some decent kindling, get that first stage of ignition going. But as a general rule of thumb, you don't want to use those. They're the last resort because of the health issues and the unpleasantness around using them. Always try more traditional methods. So I hope you kind of saw that, and and seen how efficient they are at getting a flame going if you do ever so need to. My longbow, like I said to you, I consider it part of my bushcrafting skills and routine and what I like to keep up. I've still got a long way to go before I get good at it. A lot of people won't consider that part of bushcrafting, and I fully accept that and understand that. But there are a lot of people who would probably understand my point of view, where a traditional bow kind of just feels right, and it does actually feel and sit within the bushcraft genre, possibly at the far end of it. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed coming along, seeing me doing a bit of target practice, having a little play around with some emergency fire starting stuff, a whopping great fried dinner, breakfast, tea, whatever. It's going to last all day, that is. I can still feel it. And it's been a thoroughly enjoyable time. So I'm going to pack up and head off out of here. Yet again, thanks for coming along on this one with me. Oh, I forgot to say, if the stars align and everything works out right, there's a chance I could be doing an overnighter here midweek, and possibly with a guest. But we'll have to wait and see on that one. You know how things go in life. So all that's left to be said is take care, stay safe, and I hope to catch you guys on the trail.